Dear colleagues, I would like to present the research data on the topic dimensional reinforcement prediction in visual discrimination task by pigeons. This project was inspired by our previous work published in 2018. This project was conducted in collaboration with Professor Edward Wasserman. We constructed negative compound stimuli on the basis of their overall similarity to a positive compound stimulus S plus along two binary value dimensions: shape, circle, square, size, large, small, line orientation, horizontal, vertical, and brightness, dark light, starting with 1 S plus and divide S minus that differed in all four-dimensional values. In three later steps, we progressively added S minus stimuli, shared 1, 2, and finally three-dimensional values with S plus. All of the pigeons attended in the first stage the only one dimension, and it was brightness. It was found by picking only one stimulus at the beginning of second stage. So to discriminate these two stimuli, pigeons attended brightness, and it is why at the beginning of second stage, pigeons also choose brightness dimension. Then after learning this stimulus, at the beginning of third stage, pigeons also picked the only one figure, and it was this one. And it means that it means to discriminate on the previous stage this stimuli from S plus, pigeons added one dimension, and it was line orientation. Then pigeons learned these stimuli and gradually stopped pecking, right? And we added a new level similarity of stimuli, and pigeons choose again only one stimulus to peck, this one. What is meaning of that? It means to recognize this stimuli from S plus, pigeons added one additional dimension, and it was size. And discriminating these stimuli from S plus was meant that pigeons learned the last dimensioned shape. So these pigeons clearly optimized their attentional behavior selectively and efficiently, progressing only one additional dimension in each stage of the discrimination learning. So, by the way, pigeons at the beginning of each stage rejected correctly all new S minus stimuli except only one. And by the way, to summarize pigeons pecking in this experiment, we observed pecking the only 5 stimulus. So to discriminate these two stimuli, pigeons choose brightness. It is why pigeons pecked only this one at the beginning of second stage. Then, to discriminate this from S plus, pigeons choose add additional one more dimension, and it was a line orientation. It is why at the beginning of third stage, pigeons pecked the only S plus and only one S minus stimulus. This one. All other, it was rejected from the very beginning. The same story was at the last stage. Pigeons pecked only this stimulus, and all these three was rejected at once. So it means that to discriminate all 16 stimuli, pigeons really learn discrimination, learn 5 stimuli. All other, it was just rejected at the very beginning. It was the reason of to take this particular 5 stimuli in the at the first stage of the current experiment. I took this these 5 stimuli S plus, right, and this differed by 4 dimension that pigeons discriminated at the first stage, and then 3 chosen stimuli, right? And I presented these stimuli at the first stage. The reason and firstly aim was to check whether after learning these 5 stimuli, pigeons was recognized and correctly discriminated without any learning all 16 stimuli. So I expected to have to pick in only S plus at the beginning of second stage. Because at first it was my my prediction. When I was training 8 pigeons, 4 pigeons had a dark circle, horizontal big S plus, and a second group for other had a small square vertical light as plus. It was just mirror groups. So, what I received, I will concentrate at on the result at the beginning of second stage. So, after learning 5 stimuli, we presented all 16 stimuli, created stimuli, and 5 of them was known already for pigeons, 11 was absolutely new, and all 11 was S minus. So what I received, by the way, most of new presented stimuli was rejected. About 3 to 5 S minus stimuli from new 11 stimuli were packed by pigeons. All learned stimuli in the first stage did not change decision, and S minus was correctly rejected, S plus was packed. So let's understand, let's try to next question was what the stimuli that pigeons packed at the beginning of the second stage. So to understand and to find out what the stimuli was, that I calculated two parameters. First was discrimination ratio for different number of dimensional disparity. I used this formula and dimensional ratio for certain particular dimensional disparities, for example, for its estimation of discrimination ratio for stimuli with the same similarity level, by the way, differed by 4 stimuli from S plus, differed from 3, from 2, and from 1. A response rate for S plus stimulus, and here it's a response rate for all stimuli with this level of similarity. So As here you see graphs represent the learning rate dependence on dimensional disparity across both stages. By the way, the order of discrimination was the same as we received in previous project. The easiest was to learn stimulus with differed by all four-dimensional values, and the more difficult was learned stimuli differed just by one-dimensional values and with common three-dimensional values with S plus. The next parameters that I calculated was dimensional discrimination ratio. So we estimated whether the four dimensions differently control the pigeon's responses responding across training sessions. A discrimination ratio for each dimension was calculated using this formula. So this dimensional discrimination ratio for particular dimension, for example, for brightness, shape, or line orientation or size. And here a response rate for its mean of response rate for all stimuli shared dimensional value with S plus. For example, I am calculating for brightness, and here all stimuli with the same brightness as S plus, and this is a mean of response rate of all stimuli with other dimensional value, right? Not rewarded dimensional value. For example, rewarded dark, and here we take all dark, and here all light. A dimensional rate of 1 indicates perfect discrimination between the dimensions S plus and S minus values, whereas a dimensional rate of 0.5 indicates no discrimination. Here you see graphs represent all pigeons, right? And you see on these graphs the discrimination ratios for each dimension across each stage. I will concentrate and pay your attention to beginning of second stage to see reaction and to understand what the stimuli was packed and was rejected. So let's look through these graphs. You see here the lowest discrimination ratio here is for brightness and for orientation. Here for brightness, then size, right, then orientation. Here brightness lowest discrimination rate, then size. Here lowest brightness followed by orientation, brightness, orientation, brightness, brightness, orientation, brightness, orientation. So you see that the lowest discrimination ratio was for brightness, followed by orientation. Sometimes we saw a size, right? But we did not see shape at all. It is the highest discrimination ratio was at the beginning of the second stage. So here you see diagram represents dimensional discrimination ratio for shape, size, orientation, and brightness. We see the highest discrimination ratio in the first day of second stage is for shape. The lowest, it's close to no discrimination, was for brightness. It's first day of the second stage. So, to understand what's the reason of such discrimination, different discrimination at the beginning of the second stage, we can analyze stimuli that we took for first stage. I would like to remind that I took these 5 stimuli because pigeon choose these stimuli for in previous project. And by the way, this stimuli was not actively predict reward. They were not the same predict reward. They belong to different similarity level, right? They belong to different similarity level. And also it's very important that there are different number of S- stimuli that share dimension with S plus. The statistically significant correlation between the number of S- stimuli sharing dimension values with S plus in the first stage and the dimensional discrimination ratio during the first day of the second stage was very strong. So shape, right? Shape was not shared by any S- stimuli. A shape, a rewarded shape, was only in S plus stimulus. But what about size? One S- stimulus shared size with S plus. Orientation, two two S- stimuli shared rewarded orientation. The same shared orientation with S plus. And three S- stimuli shared brightness with rewarded S plus stimulus. So what is it about? It means that shape was 100 predictable dimension. It's pigeons knew that circle is rewarded, and it's very clear. It's no circle is among the S- stimulus, but it's 100 predictable dimension, but size, it was 50-50. One time rewarded, one time big not rewarded. Orientation, one time rewarded, two time not rewarded. It's like 33% of rewarding. In case pigeons decided that pigeons need to pack as pigeons decided to pack horizontal, it's once rewarding, two not. It's 33% of prediction. And brightness, one time rewarded, three times non-rewarded. It's only 25% of rewarding. So it means that pigeon cannot decide that pigeons should use brightness for as a criterion for packing, because it's one time rewarding, three not. It's a less time rewarded, less it's not predictable criterion brightness. It is why brightness was very close to 205. It means that pigeons don't understand whether it's rewarding or not. It's once rewarding, three not. But shape, it's very reliable dimension was at the, in the beginning of the second stage. So conclusion, the decision of whether to pack or not to pack compound stimuli at the beginning of the second stage to a great degree was dependent on the reinforcement expectancy of dimensions learned in the first stage. So shape was 100 predictive, and it was no mistakes in shape. Size was 75% predictable, and it's sometimes was mistake, but not so much, right? Not so many. Orientation was just 50% prediction, and brightness 25. It is why the brightness was the less predictable predictable dimension. So dimensional reinforcement was a predictional criterion in a visual discrimination task by pigeons. So now I would like to show you a video of pecking, how pigeons peck, right? So here in the screen, we presented just one stimuli, right? And it was 160 trials, 160 stimuli per one training. So here it's clear that pigeons understand that it will be reward after such compound stimuli. And now it's pigeon just see, look, and no reaction, because pigeons know that it will be no rewarding. So thank you for your attention.